Well, Walmart just gave us a heads up. They're warning that prices on some items might start going up soon, not because of demand or shipping delays, but because of a new wave of tariffs that have returned under President Trump's administration. So, tariffs have been front and center in the news. And now, they're showing up in places you might not expect, like on fresh produce, flowers, coffee, and even toys. And Walmart, the world's largest retailer, is saying it's getting harder to keep prices low without passing some of those costs on to customers. So if you shop at Walmart, or honestly, anywhere, this is something that could affect you sooner than later. Stick around because I'm going to walk you through what's happening, what it means for you, and why this time the impact could show up right where you'll feel it most at the register. And before we keep going, let me know in the comments, have you noticed any price changes lately, or are you waiting to see what happens first? I'd love to hear what your experience has been. And if you're new here and find these breakdowns helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next update. So, here's what's going on. Earlier this year, President Trump's administration reintroduced a series of tariffs, basically taxes on imported goods, with the stated goal of strengthening American manufacturing and reducing our reliance on foreign suppliers. Some of these tariffs were originally rolled out a few years ago during Trump's first term, but they've come back in a bigger way. At their peak, some of the tariffs jumped to as high as 145%, especially on goods coming from China. That caused a bit of chaos. After some backlash, the administration scaled them back, but they're still sitting at around 30% for many products. Other countries like Costa Rica, Peru, and Colombia are seeing a flat 10% tariff on certain exports. Now, what does that mean for you and me? Well, when tariffs go up, companies that import products, or even just parts and materials, have to pay more. And if those costs are too high to absorb, they usually pass them on to us through higher prices. Walmart has been very open about this. CEO Doug McMillon said that even though they're trying to keep prices low, they simply can't absorb the full cost of these tariffs on their own. That's especially true for a company that runs on tight margins, which means they don't make a huge profit on each item sold. One small example already showing up is bananas. The price per pound went from about 50 cents to 54 cents. That might not seem like much, but it's an early sign of what could become a broader shift. And the types of products that could be next aren't just limited to food. We're talking about things like avocados, roses, electronics, coffee, toys, things that rely heavily on international supply chains. And also, even though about 2/3 of Walmart products are made, grown, or assembled in the United States, there's still a big chunk that isn't. They source a lot from China, Vietnam, Mexico, and Canada. So even with a strong domestic presence, global trade is still very much in the picture. What makes this more complicated is that the tariffs weren't rolled out slowly or gradually. They came on fast. Walmart's CFO, John David Rainey, said that the speed of these changes has been tough to manage. He said it's one of the fastest and most unpredictable cost shifts they've ever had to deal with. So, how is Walmart trying to deal with it? Well, they're being strategic. In some cases, they're cutting back on orders for products that are heavily impacted by tariffs. In other cases, they're working with suppliers to change materials or packaging. One example mentioned was switching from aluminum to fiberglass in certain products to cut down on cost. Sometimes they're shrinking product sizes just a little so they can keep the price tag the same without eating into profits. And some suppliers are even delaying shipments, hoping that if they wait a little, tariffs might shift again or be renegotiated. It's all very fluid, and that's part of the challenge. They can't forecast with any real certainty right now. And now here's the twist. Despite all this uncertainty, Walmart is still growing. Sales in their US stores are up more than 3%, and their online sales just had their first profitable quarter ever, growing over 20%. That's a big deal. So you might be wondering, how is that possible during all this? Well, during economic uncertainty, people tend to shift their shopping habits. If money is tight or prices are creeping up, a lot of shoppers move toward retailers known for value. That's where Walmart tends to benefit. They attract more budget-conscious shoppers when other stores are raising prices even faster. That said, they're still being cautious. Walmart didn't issue a profit forecast for the next quarter, which tells us they're just not sure how this is going to play out. And now let's talk about the political side of this, because yes, there's a political angle too. Walmart and other companies are trying to walk a fine line. On one hand, they need to be transparent with their shareholders and customers about rising costs. On the other hand, they don't want to appear like they're blaming the administration. That can carry risks. You might remember when Amazon floated the idea of putting tariff labels on certain products. That move didn't go over well with the White House. Reports say President Trump personally reached out to Jeff Bezos to express his disapproval. And toy company Mattel faced a similar situation. They announced planned price increases, and the president publicly criticized them and even floated a possible 100% tariff in response. So for Walmart, the messaging has been very careful. Macmillan has thanked the Trump administration for working to reduce some tariffs with China and expressed hope for long-term solutions. That kind of language helps maintain the relationship while still acknowledging the strain. You can see how tricky this gets. It's not just about dollars and cents, it's about perception too. But let's bring it back to what really matters here. What does this mean for you? Well, if you're already feeling squeezed at the store, this could make things a little tougher. Even small changes, a few cents here, a dollar there, can really add up, especially for families or folks on fixed incomes. So what can you do? First, be a little more watchful. If you have favorite items you buy every week, keep an eye on those price tags. If something seems like it's about to go up and you can afford to stock up a little, it might save you money in the long run. Also, don't be afraid to try different brands. Sometimes the store brand or an off-brand product can be nearly identical to the name brand, just without the extra cost. And if you're shopping for things like electronics or household goods, it might be worth comparing prices across a few stores or waiting for a sale if the item isn't urgent. Small adjustments like that can make a big difference over time. Now, as far as the long-term outlook, no one really knows yet. Will these tariffs become a permanent fixture, or are they a bargaining chip for trade deals down the road? That's still being worked out. What we do know is that companies like Walmart are preparing for a period of unpredictability, and they're doing their best to shield shoppers, but they can't absorb everything. So then, as we go into the next few months, just being aware of these behind-the-scenes factors can help you make smarter choices with your money. And I'd really like to hear from you. Are you seeing these changes already where you shop? Do you think these kinds of trade policies are worth the cost? Or do they make things harder for everyday shoppers? Drop your thoughts down below in the comments. I always enjoy hearing how this is playing out in real life, not just in headlines. And if you found this helpful, go ahead and hit that like button and consider subscribing for more updates like this. I try to keep things clear, calm, and practical because I know this stuff can get overwhelming fast. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Stay sharp, keep your budget steady, and I'll see you next time.